Ever feel like the train has left the station and you're just standing on the platform, watching your dreams disappear down the track? That's exactly how Michael felt. At 47, he was living a life that ticked all the boxes: stable job, nice home, predictable routine. But deep down, there was a nagging emptiness. He'd always dreamed of being a writer, but now the thought seemed almost ridiculous. Too old, too late, too settled. His biggest fear wasn't failing. It wasn't about writing a bad book that nobody read. No, his deepest fear was judgment. He could already hear the whispers. A writer, at his age, who does he think he is? He imagined the smirks from colleagues, the confused looks from family. The thought of looking like a fool, of chasing a youthful dream in middle age, was paralyzing. So he kept his dream locked away, a secret gathering dust in the back of his mind. Every morning, he'd go to a job that paid the bills but didn't light him up. Every evening, he'd come home, tired and uninspired, settling for the comfort of the familiar. Life wasn't bad, but it wasn't his. It was a life lived on autopilot, and he was just a passenger. The years were slipping by, and the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be was growing wider. He felt stuck, invisible, and increasingly resentful of the predictable rhythm of his days. The dream of writing wasn't just a fantasy. It was a lifeline he was too afraid to grab. One ordinary Tuesday, something shifted. Michael was sitting in his car during his lunch break, staring out at the gray sky, when a thought hit him with the force of a tidal wave in 10 years. I'll be 57. Do I want my life to be exactly the same as it is today? The answer was a resounding, terrifying no. Suddenly, a new fear eclipsed all the others. The fear of looking back at 57, 67, or 77, and knowing he never even tried. The regret of an unlived life felt far heavier than the potential embarrassment of trying and failing. He realized a simple, powerful truth. Time was going to pass anyway. The next 10 years would come and go, whether he sat on the couch or sat at a desk writing. The only choice he had was how he would fill that time. Would he fill it with more of the same, more what-ifs and quiet desperation? Or would he fill it with action, with experiences, with the messy, beautiful, and uncertain process of chasing a dream? In that moment, he decided he'd rather face the future with a few stories of trying than a lifetime of regret for not starting. The fear of judgment was still there, but the fear of stagnation was finally bigger. So, how did he start? Not with a grand announcement. He didn't quit his job or declare to the world that he was now a writer. That would have been too much, too scary. Instead, he made a tiny, almost invisible change. He decided to wake up just 30 minutes earlier every morning. Before the house was awake, before the demands of the day began, he would sit with his laptop and just write. No pressure, no expectations. Just him, a blank page, and the quiet promise he'd made to himself. Some mornings were a struggle. The alarm would go off in the dark, and his mind would flood with self-doubt. "This is pointless," it would whisper. "You're not a real writer." The words wouldn't come easily. He'd stare at the blinking cursor, feeling like an imposter. The progress was painfully slow. A few sentences here, a paragraph there. It was nothing like the romantic image he had of a writer effortlessly pouring out brilliant prose. It was just hard work, day after day. But here's the thing, he kept showing up. Because as difficult as it was to write, the thought of stopping, of going back to the way things were, felt infinitely worse. That small, daily act of trying was his rebellion against regret. After a few months of writing in secret, Michael took another small, terrifying step. He decided to share a short piece of his writing online, anonymously, on a small blog platform. He hit publish with a racing heart, half expecting a flood of criticism, or even worse, complete and utter silence. For the first few days, it was mostly silence. A few views, no comments. The old fears started creeping back in. See, nobody cares. This was a stupid idea. But then, one morning, a notification popped up. A comment from a total stranger. It wasn't a rave review or a publishing offer. It was simple. The person wrote, "I've been feeling this way for years, but I could never find the words. Thank you for writing this." That one comment changed everything. It wasn't about becoming famous or getting a book deal. It was about connection. It was the realization that his words, his hidden feelings, had reached across the digital void and touched another human being. It was validation, not for his talent, but for his honesty. The biggest transformation wasn't happening on his blog. It was happening inside him. He started walking taller. He felt less invisible at his day job because he knew he had this secret, vibrant part of his life that was just for him. Mondays didn't feel so dreadful anymore because they were the start of a week that included his morning writing sessions. He hadn't become a full-time, best-selling author. Looking back, Michael realized something profound. The problem was never his age. At 47, he had a wealth of life experience to draw from, a depth of understanding he never had in his 20s. The real obstacle had been fear, the fear of what other people would think. And starting late had given him an unexpected superpower: patience. He wasn't in a rush to make it. He was just enjoying the process, the simple act of creating something that was his. So if you're listening to this and you have a dream you think you're too old for, I want you to hear this loud and clear. It is never ever too late to start. The world doesn't care how old you are when you begin. The only person counting the years is you. You have a choice. It's a choice between the heavy weight of regret and the light, exhilarating feeling of courage. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. Just start with one small step. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Sign up for that class. Pick up that paintbrush. I promise you, the moment you start, the moment you take that first step toward your dream, you'll feel younger and more alive than you have in years. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that inspires you to live your fullest life. Let me know in the comments what dream you're ready to start chasing. See you in the next video.